Primary weapons. Let me tell you about them. We all need them, we all use them, and we all have our favorites. Some are better than others, and some are just plain fun. Today, we're going to be ranking every single primary in Helldivers 2. I'm ranking them in the order that they appear in the arsenal, so we're going to be going all the way down the list until they're all ranked. But be warned, this is my opinion. And if you disagree and you think your opinion is better, then feel free to use the template I made on tiermaker.com. Link is in the description. Anyways, let's get on to the rankings, starting at the assault rifles. First up, we have the AR-23 Liberator, which is starting gear for all players. The SEAF Standard Assault Rifle, balancing power, fire rate, and weight for a reliable weapon against smaller targets. Much like the description states, it's a basic balanced assault rifle, but that doesn't mean it's bad. There's a reason it's standard issue. It's completely average, it can always get the job done, so I'm just going to put it in B tier. I think that it belongs there. It's an average weapon. Next up is the AR-23P Liberator Penetrator from the Helldivers Mobilize Warbond. A modified Liberator, fitted with a scope and firing armor-piercing rounds to help users take down armored targets. So, it's a straightforward modification of the standard Liberator. It does slightly less damage, but also sports medium armor penetration. And it also has a bit more recoil, but that's not a big deal. It doesn't make it too difficult to handle. Overall, it's a great choice against every faction and is solid against most enemies, so I'm putting it above the standard Liberator in A tier. Next up is the AR-23C Liberator Concussive from the Steeled Veterans Warbond. A modified Liberator featuring explosive rounds and a red dot sight. Trades increased damage for increased recoil? Maybe I wrote that down wrong. Anyway, this Liberator variant is best used for crowd control. The concussive rounds combined with its drum magazine make it easy to hold back a wave of enemies coming your way. The problem with it is the overall damage. Although the damage per round is pretty good, the firing rate is halved when compared with the previous Liberator variants. And at the end of the day, why wouldn't I just want to kill somebody instead of holding them back? It doesn't always make sense to do that. So I'm putting it in C tier. I think that's where it belongs. Next up is the STA-52 Assault Rifle, which is only obtainable in the Superstore. An assault rifle with a high-capacity drum magazine, good for providing sustained fire, produced by Stahl Arms. So the STA-52 has great magazine size and a high rate of fire that does decent damage. It's easy to understand and it works as a good side grade to your Liberator and your Tenderizer. The only real problem with this weapon is the fact that it's exclusive to the Superstore and is the most expensive item in the game right now. But I'm not going to factor that into the ranking, I'm just going to put it in A tier. I think it's better overall than Liberator, at least in my book. Next up is the AR-23A Liberator Carbine from the Viper Commandos Warbond. A compact version of the Liberator designed for increased viability in close quarters, has an increased fire rate at the cost of higher spread. Well, as the fastest firing assault rifle, the Liberator Carbine has incredible damage output for a short duration. However, the magazine is the same as the standard Liberator, and the recoil is tough to manage, meaning you must use carefully placed bursts to maximize damage. Otherwise, you're firing into an already dead enemy for a few bullets too many, and wasting that ammo. If you can use it correctly, it is incredible at dishing out damage. So I'm also going to put it in B tier because it's really hard to use compared to other assault rifles, and damage per magazine is the same as the standard Liberator, so it's a pure side grade in that regard. Next up is the AR-61 Tenderizer from the Polar Patriots Warbond. A high-caliber assault rifle with a restrictive magazine size, but more stopping power. I personally use the Tenderizer a lot against lightly armored enemies. I like it a lot in bug missions. It may not penetrate armor, but it has the lowest recoil out of all the assault rifles, as well as the highest damage per bullet out of all the assault rifles. The only problem is that it doesn't pen medium armor, but I really enjoy using it. Plus, it looks like it's from Halo, so I have to like it. Also putting that in A tier. I think it's better than the Liberator in most scenarios where you would want the Liberator. Next up is the BR-14 Adjudicator from the Democratic Detonation Warbond. An accurate, armor-penetrating rifle. The BR-14 Adjudicator delivers righteous judgment to medium-sized enemies, though its restrictive magazine limits its effectiveness against large groups. Not only does the Adjudicator have the second best damage out of the assault rifles, it also has medium armor penetration. This comes at the cost of having the highest recoil in its class and the smallest magazine size in its class. Like the description states, it deals great damage against single targets, but it's not great against groups, even small patrols. I think that for the cases you'd want it in, it's very effective. It's very good at killing medium armor enemies one at a time. But when are you fighting enemies one at a time very often in Helldivers? Not often, I would think. So me personally, I'm putting it in B tier. I don't use it that often. It is still useful though. Now, onto the Marksman Rifles, starting with the R2124 Constitution, which is an event reward. This ceremonial rifle is modeled after antique relics from pre-democratic times. It is traditionally gifted to every citizen upon turning 16 to encourage service. Let's be honest, this is just a total meme weapon, and while there's a certain novelty to it, it is far from being a great choice. There are a few ways it could be a better weapon though. Stripper clips will be a great start considering that the Senator already has a speed loader. The most noteworthy thing about it is the bayonet, which does actually give it some extra damage output up close. Sadly, it is still blatantly inferior to many other weapons in almost every way, so yeah, the Constitution is our first D tier. I hate to say it. It deserves a buff. Next up is the R63 Diligence from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. This high-caliber marksman rifle trades magazine capacity and rate of fire for powerful, accurate shots. The Diligence is a pretty standard DMR. It has low recoil and a solid damage output combined with a decent magazine, making it a good option for sniping lightly armored enemies. Sadly, that's all it's really good for though. Consider taking it over standard assault rifles if you want better range. I think the Diligence, the standard Diligence, yeah, I mean, it's a DMR that only pens light armor, so I'm probably just going to put it in B tier. I think it belongs with the Liberator in terms of effectiveness. Next up is the R63CS Diligence Counter Sniper, also from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. A modified Diligence rifle offering increased damage, but a reduced rate of fire. Fires a single bullet at a time. The counter sniper is superior to the basic Diligence in many ways. Because of its medium armor penetration and high-powered scope, it dominates on the bot front. It works at any range and is definitely the best primary weapon for long-range encounters, at least in my opinion. I find it just to be really satisfying to use, and it does good damage with medium armor pen at long ranges, and I can't really ask for a lot else from a DMR, so I'm putting that also in A tier. Now, for our only sniper rifle in the game, the Plaz 39 Accelerator Rifle, which was an event reward. A high-precision burst-fire plasma rifle that must be charged to fire. Pretty simple description. This is the first sniper rifle primary in the game, and it's overall a very unique weapon. It fires a burst of 3 long-range plasma bolts with minimal recoil. So you would think it's good at long range because it's a sniper, but it has damage fall off. It also lacks ammo. Magazine capacity is limited to 3 bursts. So you'll be spending a lot of time reloading and not killing people, especially not with that damage drop-off, on a sniper rifle of all things. It's inferior to the Purifier in many ways, and is in need of a buff. It is honestly one of the worst weapons in the game right now. I think it's better than the Constitution, but not by a lot. I think this thing is bad. It's not very good. Now, onto the submachine guns, starting with the MP98 Knight from the Super Citizen Edition. A submachine gun with an extremely high rate of fire, which can be operated with one hand, ideal for multitasking. The easiest weapon to compare the Knight with is the Liberator Carbine. The fire rate is downright overkill when compared with other SMGs, and it leads to you easily wasting rounds on dead enemies, like the Liberator Carbine. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun weapon, but certainly not my favorite. If you plan on buying the Super Citizen Edition just for this, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would probably put it in C tier, which is kind of tough for me to do, but I don't like it that much. I think it's less than effective on a lot of missions and against a lot of enemies. Next up is the STA-11 SMG, which was also an event reward. A submachine gun with a helical feed magazine, which gives the weapon a higher ammo capacity while making it more front-heavy, produced by Stahl Arms. This is my favorite SMG in the game. The magazine size is really what makes it special. Pair that with a satisfactory firing rate, and good recoil, and you can absolutely pump out damage against light armored enemies with it. It's also just an awesome weapon design. It's a bizarre crossbreed between like an Uzi and a PP-19 Bison. I find that a pretty fascinating idea. So we're putting that in A tier, because I think it's my favorite SMG in the game, so I think it deserves to be there. Next up is the SMG-32 Reprimand from the Truth Enforcers Warbond. A heavy-duty submachine gun that fires large caliber rounds with a slower rate of fire to manage the high recoil. This weapon has a bit of an identity crisis. It acts like a blend between an assault rifle and an SMG, and is the only medium armor penetrating SMG currently in the game. The real problem with it is the accuracy. It feels like you're playing Counter-Strike when you use this thing. The bullets will go nowhere near where you're aiming your gun. And it's also the only two-handed SMG currently in the game, which removes one of the best parts about SMGs, which is being able to use it with a shield. So it's not a good weapon. Most people will agree with me on that. I'm gonna also put it in C tier. Oh, man. Okay, I'll put it in C tier because it's not as bad as the sniper in the fucking Constitution. Next up is the SMG-37 Defender, also from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. The Defender is the most basic SMG there is. It has good fire rate, good damage, and good magazine size. It's an easy weapon to use and understand, and of course it pairs well with the shield, and that's basically all there is to it. I'm putting it in B tier because it is just very middle of the road. Next up is the SMG-72 Pummeler from the Polar Patriots Warbond. Fires concussive rounds that stagger enemies, slower rate of fire than other SMGs. The Pummeler is to the Defender what the Liberator Concussive is to the Liberator. It has the lowest fire rate of any SMG, with lower damage than the Defender, but of course, the rounds concuss enemies. It works pretty well as crowd control when paired with a shield. It's pretty fun in that regard, but again, it suffers from the idea of, why would I CC an enemy when I can just kill them? So I'm also going to put it in C tier. I think that mentality is sadly ineffective most of the time. Sadly, CC that comes from your weapons isn't as good as damage coming from your weapons, if you know what I mean. Now, let's move on to the shotguns, starting with the SG-8 Punisher from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. A powerful, dual-magazine pump-action shotgun with limited armor penetration, ideal for small and fast targets. The Punisher is a very basic shotgun, but that doesn't make it bad. It has the most damage per shell out of any shotgun, and can stagger many enemies. It is tube-fed, which could be considered a blessing or a curse depending on who you ask. Otherwise, it's pretty unremarkable. So, Punisher, that goes in B tier as well, I think. It's a simple, effective, standard weapon. Next up is the SG-8S Slugger, also from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. A modified Punisher shotgun firing heavy, high-damage slug rounds, perfect for punching holes in big targets. The Slugger is generally superior to the Punisher. Although it has less damage per shell, it fires slugs, allowing you to concentrate that damage on a single enemy. It also has medium armor penetration, making it much more versatile and usable on any difficulty. So the Slugger is an easy A tier for me. As long as you can land your shots with it, it's good on any difficulty, really, as a primary, and it does great damage, so it belongs there, I think. Next up is the SG-20 Halt from the Truth Enforcers Warbond, a humane compliance weapon with two separate magazines, one for armor-piercing flechette rounds, and one for stun rounds. The Halt is one of the best shotguns in the game, for sure. The damage is only 20 less per shell when compared with the Punisher, but beyond that, it makes no compromises. Combined with its high damage, it has medium armor penetration, making it invaluable against medium enemies. It has an alternate ammo type, changing the penetration to light armor only, but also giving it the ability to stun. As you can see, both of these options outclass the Punisher's shells in some way, and this weapon can be used against any faction on any difficulty, no problem. So, for me, the first S tier is actually gonna be the Halt, and that might be controversial to some, but I think it's a really slept on weapon, and it's really, really good. Next up is the SG-451 Cookout from the Freedom's Flame Warbond. A pump shotgun that fires a burst of incendiary phosphorus shells, setting targets ablaze. As our last Punisher variant, for now, the Cookout also brings something special to the table. It fires incendiary rounds, while only losing 85 damage per shell when compared with the Punisher. It easily makes up for that lack of damage with its ability to set enemies ablaze. And although the shells fire in a wide spread, that actually helps it deliver its incendiary capabilities. And you can't deny how satisfying it is to fire. Something about those fire effects just gives it a special punch. So, just because of how fun it is, and how cool it is, it's also going in A tier. A Dragon's Breath shotgun is hard to turn down. Next up is the SG-225 Breaker, part of the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. A fully automatic shotgun with a high rate of fire, excellent for controlling crowds, requires frequent reloading. The Breaker is your basic automatic shotgun. It deals good damage with a great fire rate, but suffers because of the magazine capacity. As a fully automatic light armor pen shotgun, you would expect it to excel at crowd control, but in some ways it falls short of that when compared to its variants. The Breaker is yet another middle-of-the-road B-tier weapon, in my opinion. Next up is the SG-225 SP Breaker Spray and Pray from the Helldivers Mobilized Warbond. A modified Breaker shotgun firing birdshot, small pellets which saturate an area to clear up smaller targets. This Breaker variant is better at crowd control when compared with the original Breaker. The magazine holds 10 more shells than the regular Breaker, and also fires faster. Even though it has considerably lower damage per shell, it makes up for it with a much more consistent output of damage. Not to mention its duckbill choke, meaning that it spreads much more horizontally than it does vertically, making it exceptional against bug hordes. It's situational, but I think for the most part, I prefer the Breaker Spray and Pray, when compared to the original Breaker, that is. I think for me, I'm going to put it in A tier, because I think that if I want the Breaker, I would probably prefer to take the Breaker Spray and Pray. I prefer a larger volume of fire when it comes to an automatic shotgun. Next up is the SG-225IE Breaker Incendiary from the Steeled Veterans Warbond. A modified Breaker shotgun firing incendiary projectiles. Generates heat during use, so limited to burst fire. The Breaker Incendiary is my personal favorite out of the automatic shotguns. It has the same damage per shell as the Spray and Pray, but adds incendiary damage on top of that. The only downside when compared to the Spray and Pray is the extremely wide spread of the pellets. But much like the Cookout, this only really helps it to deliver its incendiary payload. So I think I'm also going to put this in A tier. I think these are generally more fun than the original Breaker, both of these variants I just covered. Now, we're moving on to the explosive weapon category, starting off with the CB9 Exploding Crossbow from the Democratic Detonation Warbond. Fires powerful exploding bolts that do maximum damage upon direct impact. Gravity must be accounted for when aiming. The crossbow is a great option for those who want AoE damage from their primary weapons. The only true downside is the magazine capacity. It always feels like you're one round short of killing a larger enemy when you need to reload it. What it really excels at is destroying things like bug holes, fabricators, and illuminate ships, or any building that can be destroyed in a single explosive. And of course, it delivers great AoE damage against groups of light to medium armored enemies. So I think I'm also going to put this in A tier. It's tempting for an S actually, because it's so useful at destroying bug holes. It does suffer in some areas. The crossbow does something that no other primary weapon can do, which is destroy like 5 bug holes in one magazine. So I'm putting it in S tier. If you disagree with me, just tell me about it in the comments. Go right ahead. Next up is the R36 Eruptor from the Democratic Detonation Warbond. This bolt-action rifle fires jet-assisted shells that explode shrapnel in all directions upon impact. Not recommended for close quarters use. The Eruptor has insane damage potential per round. The shrapnel allows it to take out groups of a dozen enemies in a single shot, but of course it has its downsides. It is extremely heavy. Turning or adjusting your aim will take much longer with this than it will with other weapons. It has a slow fire rate, but that is to be expected after all. And it's a death sentence to use in close range. It's extremely fun and it does a lot of damage, so I'm going to put it in A tier. It's definitely not a versatile weapon, but it's really fun and it does tons of damage, and it's better than the sniper, I'll tell you that. Now, we're going to move on to the energy-based weapons, starting off with the SG-8P Punisher Plasma from the Cutting Edge Warbond. A modified Punisher shotgun firing exploding plasma rounds. Fire carefully. Exploding plasma can injure squad mates. This Punisher variant deals AoE plasma damage and even penetrates medium armor, making it effective against most enemies in the game. It may be hard to land every shot perfectly, but if you have good aim, it has great damage potential per magazine. So, I'm also going to put it in A tier. We have a lot of A tiers already, but that's just where I feel like the weapons go. Next up is the ARC-12 Blitzer from the Cutting Edge Warbond. This shotgun blasts a wide burst of high voltage electricity that arcs between all units, enemy or otherwise, within range. The Blitzer is essentially a short-range arc thrower for the primary slot. It can be hard to recommend on account of its low damage, but having infinite ammo and the ability to stun is definitely useful. If you pair it with some kind of machine gun, it could be great at stunning tougher enemies and then finishing them off. On its own merits, I don't find it to be very good, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. I don't like it that much. I know that some people consider it to be really good, but I don't agree. I think it kind of sucks. Next up is the Las 5 Scythe from the Helldivers Mobilize Warbond. A laser rifle firing a continuous beam. Does not need reloading, but if it overheats, a new heatsink must be fitted. As someone who isn't a big fan of the laser cannon, I find the Scythe to be surprisingly effective as a primary. It has a great way of delivering heat damage over long range, and is of course great against hordes of smaller enemies. However, I find that the overheat mechanic is actually a bit of a detriment to it. It overheats very quickly, and you only have 5 batteries. So managing the ammo economy of the Scythe is quite difficult, because you don't want to overheat it. You try your best to not overheat it, but when you do, you only have 5 more batteries to work with, and it fills the heat up pretty quick. But it's a unique weapon, and it does its own thing, and it's good for what it does, so I'm actually going to put it in A tier as well. For what the Scythe does, you get a lot out of it as a primary weapon, so I'm going to leave it there. Next up, we have the Las 16 Sickle from the Cutting Edge Warbond. A laser rifle, firing in short bursts. Does not need reloading, but if it overheats, a new heatsink must be fitted. The Sickle is one of my favorite weapons in the whole game. It's just super satisfying to shoot. It does decent damage, and it works based on the overheat mechanic as well, but for some reason I just find it easier to manage the ammo when compared to the Scythe. The Sickle is to the Liberator what the Quasar Cannon is to the recoilless rifle. It's a lower damage, heat-based side grade, but goddamn is it fun to shoot. It's also going in A tier. Don't care if you disagree, I f***ing love the Sickle. It's just so fun to use. Next up is the Plas 1 Scorcher from the Helldivers Mobilize Warbond. A plasma rifle, firing a bolt of superheated gas which explodes on impact. Avoid standing in proximity to the blast. The Scorcher is an incredible plasma weapon. One of the best for dealing with medium armor. It deals great damage per shot, and with a generous magazine size, plus a good fire rate to go along with it. It has a small AoE as well. The AoE isn't that great for killing groups, but it can damage Strider pilots directly through their front armor, making them seem like nothing more than infantry at the end of the day. There really aren't many downsides to the Scorcher, so I'm going to put it in S tier. I can't think of anything actually wrong with the weapon. Next up is the Plas 101 Purifier from the Polar Patriots Warbond. A plasma rifle, firing a bolt of superheated gas which explodes on impact. Each shot must be charged up fully before it can be fired. It's very similar to the Scorcher, but when charged up, it deals a lot of damage within a decent radius, and since it penetrates medium armor, it's also great against most enemies. The only real problem with the Purifier is the lack of damage when you rapid fire it. It does almost nothing when you do that, it seems. In terms of DPS on a single target, the Scorcher is better, but the Purifier is still very good in a lot of different situations, so I'm going to put it in A tier. I've said that too many times, this tier list. Now we're moving on to our special weapons, starting off with the Flam 66 Torture from the Freedom's Flame Warbond. A lightweight flamethrower. Shoots pressurized fuel through a dispersion nozzle into an open flame. Safe. The Torture does exactly what you think it does. It's a slightly nerfed flamethrower for the primary slot. It's best against bugs, of course, but you can make use of it on most missions, regardless of what faction you're fighting. And I fucking love flamethrowers in this game. When they rebuffed the flamethrower and brought back all the old effects and made it pen heavy armor, I just fell in love with all of these weapons, so I'm gonna put it also... it's a tempting S tier. It's actually very, very good, but I'm not confident in that, so I'm gonna put it in A tier for now. And finally, the very last weapon listed in our arsenal is the Jar 5 Dominator from the Steeled Veterans Warbond. Firing jet-propelled rounds, the Dominator trades fire rate and magazine capacity for increased damage per projectile. The Dominator is a peculiar weapon. It does great damage per shot and has a decent magazine size, but the big downside is the projectile speed and overall handling of the weapon. It's unwieldy to use, but can deal great damage if you're able to use it effectively, which will involve you leading your shots like you're playing Battlefield 1. It's a decent enough weapon, it does great damage per shot, but the projectile speed really kills it for me, so I'm gonna put it in B tier, because I think everything else about the weapon is good. I just don't like the projectile speed, and it is pretty slow to wield. But apart from that, Jar 5 Dominator is just fine. Here's the final tier list. I'm sure that many people will disagree with me on a lot of things here. I know that my last stratagem tier list, I was I was just blatantly wrong about some of the picks I made, so let me know if I've made that mistake again here. Fun is a big factor for me when I rate these. I usually take what's fun for me and I put it closer to the top. I don't want to be a meta slave. I use what I think is fun, so like that is like a big factor when I make these videos. Don't think I'm trying to dictate people's playstyle or make anything harder for people out there. I just think that these are fun videos to make. Hopefully I can give some kind of advice to people, you know? Hopefully some people can watch the video and say, I'm gonna change things up, I'm gonna do this or that, do that. I wanted to say that because I felt like that was like an issue that I had with my last video, my stratagem video. That's all I have for today. If you've watched all the way to the end, please like the video. That helps out with the channel quite a lot. And please subscribe if you want to see more videos on Helldivers 2. And leave a comment down below talking about your favorite primaries. I read every comment and I love to talk to people that comment on my videos, so go right ahead. This is the SES Prophet of Dawn signing off. Thanks for watching, everyone.